This is The Great Outdoors with Jason White, exploring the great outdoors in Pennsylvania and beyond. Brought to you by the Mariana Outdoorsmen Association and by Wild Acres Farm, Fishery, and Regulated Hunting Grounds. Now, The Great Outdoors with Jason White.
Hello, friends. I'm Jason White. Welcome to The Great Outdoors. Have a very interesting show. We're going to be diving today into the Pennsylvania Game Commission Ag Tag, or also called Red Tag program. We're going to be discussing the DMAP, Deer Management Assistance Program, proposed changes by the Pennsylvania Game Commission, how these programs work, how you, whether you're in agriculture or are a private landowner or leaseholder, how you can utilize these programs, and ultimately going to discuss the fact that these programs are being opened for changes and my perceived changes or perceived recommendations to make them efficient, effective, and ultimately work to better manage wildlife here in the state. But before I dive into that, I want to give a special thanks to the Mariana Outdoorsman Association. You can join the MOA today at marianaoutdoors.com. 2.5 miles of private trout fishing, 1,000-yard rifle range, multiple pistol ranges, archery targets, archery shooting. Let's see, what else we got? Clay pigeon range. And last but not least, approximately 400 acres of upland bird hunting, all part of an MOA membership. Join today at marianaoutdoors.com. Wild Acres Farm, Fishery, and Regulated Hunting Grounds, managed and operated by 10 Mile Creek Outfitters. If you're looking to book an upland bird hunt, trophy trout fishing trip, if you're looking to do a whitetail guided hunt or turkey, please reach out to us, 724-579-0924. Check out our website, 10mileco.org. Again, 10mileco.org. No fence, no fence, no fence. Everything's free range. Love to have you. Again, 10mileco.org. All right, I want to go over some upcoming events for the Mariana Outdoorsman Association, and then we're just going to dive right into it. So this upcoming weekend, I will be, the 14th, 15th, and 16th of February, I will be in Philadelphia for the Philadelphia Fishing Expo. Do a simple Google search and you will find information about this particular event, but it's at the Oaks, located on the outskirts of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I'd love to see you. I will be there again this upcoming 14th, 15th, and 16th of February. Looking ahead, let's see here. Looking ahead into March the 7th, which is a Friday, we will be stocking trout at the Mariana Outdoorsman Association. In between now and March the 7th, we'll be stocking upland birds weekly. So by all means, love to see you, love to have you, and certainly come enjoy some upland bird hunting. Month of March, we'll have free-ranging upland bird hunts. Love to have you there as well. So we'll be doing upland bird hunts for the association basically from now until April 1st. We'll shut down the last day of March. Thursday, April 3rd, we'll be doing another trout stocking. Saturday, April the 5th is opening day of trout season in Pennsylvania. Let's see here. Thursday, the May the 1st, we'll be stocking trout again. And then Friday, the 2nd, Saturday the 3rd, and Sunday the 4th will be the second annual PA Trout Classic. Lots of awesome events right around the corner. Also, May 17th and 18th, there will be a long-range hunter class held at the Mariana Outdoorsman Association. Looking into June 14th, which is a Saturday, it'll be the MOA and American Oil and Gas Alliance golf outing. Oh, and I missed one. Jeez, I jumped right over it. Last Saturday of March 29th, will be the MOA and American Oil and Gas Alliance Energy and Sportsman's Bash, located at 19 North event venue in Washington, Pennsylvania. Certainly look forward to that as well, and happy to have everybody. And we'll see how all these things go. But again, as always, go to marianaoutdoors.com or give us a call at 724-579-0924. Again, marianaoutdoors.com or give us a call at 724-579-0924. All righty. So I want to dive into ag tags, red tags. What are they? What is DMAP? What does it mean? Can you use it? So on and so forth. So, first of all, ag tags, red tags, and DMAP fall underneath of regulations. There's a big difference between law and a regulation. A regulation is established by the Board of Commissioners. Basically, anytime a regulation is created, there's a state statute that they must bring it up at 2 consecutive board meetings and vote on it before it's then adopted as a regulation. So when we talk about these red tags or ag tags, whatever you want to reference them, and or the DMAP program, these are, at the end of the day, these are regulations. So again, there's a big difference between something that's put into effect by the legislature and governor, or something that's put into effect by the Game Commission itself. I want to read to you a little bit here in regards to, I was looking for what I was actually going to reference here. So from a law perspective, something that was put into effect by the legislature, that would fall underneath of what's classified as crop damage. Crop damage, that particular, I don't want to call it a program, but it is a program. That particular piece of the puzzle was established by the state legislature. Again, big difference between that being enacted in that capacity as opposed to ag tags, which is also known as red tag, and the DMAP program. So let's kind of like break this down. What is the Game Commission proposing? What are the changes? Why are they necessary? So on and so forth. Red tags and ag tags are basically time periods that are outside of normal hunting seasons and do not overlap with hunters, I guess, per se. So as of right now, there are spans in the summertime. This has been a big discussion point. So I know that time periods that have been discussed, February 1st to March 30th, and then again August 1st until into September. These have been time periods that have been discussed and are kind of on the table. So practically, when you talk about ag tags, you're basically talking about windows that are not during the normal hunting season. DMAP is during the normal hunting season. That would be your Deer Management Assistance Program. So before we get going, I'm sure you're a little confused already. So you have 2 completely separate programs with different names. One's outside of season, one's in season. Okay? Additionally, when you talk about these particular programs, they're both structured in the capacity of tillable acreage, so that would be like planted fields, and also timber property. Again, both can be applicable for ag tags, both can be applicable for the Deer Management Assistance Program. Again, 2 separate programs, different times of the year. I understand it is a little confusing, and I am hopeful that we're able to define a better path so we can fix this. Additionally, currently there are different price ranges for ag tags, a normal hunting license, doe tag, and the DMAP tags. Some of the prices currently include a red tag being $1.95, a regular doe license tag being $6.95, and a Deer Management Assistance Program tag being $10.95. I've not gotten a legitimate answer from anybody as to why this is the case. It's clearly problematic, I would say, confusing. I know we're only into this conversation here about 5 minutes, and I'm sure you're a little bit confused. So again, red tags and DMAPs are permitted programs that can be utilized for harvesting does and does only. I want to reiterate that as well because I kind of missed that earlier. These programs are for doe and doe only. Crop damage is not. Crop damage is a whole different beast. So let's just put the crop damage conversation on the shelf. Ag tag, that regulation, for those that are interested, that is 147.551 to 147.559. It states under ag tags, This is a permit program used for the growing season to reduce deer on commercial agricultural properties experiencing damage to crops, fruits, trees, and vegetables. The Ag Tag program is explained more fully in other capacities. Referencing that, let's see here. Beyond with the Ag Tag program, deer control permits allow qualified farmers to receive deer depredation permits under Ag Tag program. These permits are distributed directly to licensed hunters by the landowner. Landowners can obtain one sub permit per 5 acres of cultivated land. Unless a wildlife conservation officer deems additional allocations necessary. So as you can see, the 5 acres of, we'll just call it usage, in my opinion, is a little bit concerning. In 2022, many changes occurred for this program, including the licensed hunters can be issued up to 4 Ag Tag permits by a farmer. Furthermore, hunters are no longer required to the Pennsylvania residents. The program is open to all hunters, including those out of state, but only have a registered hunting license. Each sub-permit holder allows a licensed hunter to take 1 antlerless deer. Permits are valid from February 1st to the 15th and August 1st to the 15th, excluding Sundays. Additional changes included that people are not required to put their property in a Pennsylvania co-op before purchasing their Ag Tags. Moreover, hunters are responsible to report Ag Tags regardless of the harvest success. Red Tag will be replaced with standard harvest tags, which are issued through the Hunt Fish PA. That's kind of a gist of the Ag Tag, Red Tag, whatever you want to call it. Now, let me dive into DMAP here, because what I'm going to explain is that it's very confusing. I don't know anybody that's not confused by all of this. How do I enroll as a DMAP property? So again, this is during normal hunting seasons. Farmland will normally qualify for DMAP. Enrollment in the land is privately owned or leased. The applicant must be able to demonstrate crop or tree damage from deer. Property may be enrolled regardless of whether it's posted. The applicant must be made each year by July 1st. And as I'm reading all this, I just want to be clear. I have a mountain of questions and I have a mountain of suggestions, and there's a lot of things that are not functional and do not work, but I will dive into it very soon. Applications for DMAC, again, must be submitted by July 1st. Coupons redeemed by DMAC permits are not part of the doe license allocations in a wildlife management unit. I just want to reiterate what is just being said. A DMAP is for a singular property, and they are not looking at those numbers as part of the entire doe allocation. Now, when we talk about doe allocations, I just want to, because we're going to circle back to this, you have people paying fees for red tag fees. You have people paying fees for doe tags as normal hunters, and then you have people paying for these DMAP licenses. So I want everybody to really think about that when you think about budgetary numbers and revenue generated from crop damage. These are tools that people are paying the fees to utilize these tools to manage wildlife. So there's money sitting in the Game Commission's bank accounts associated that's being generated. So it's a thought for down the road. So just keep that under your hat. A person owning, leasing more than one property may obtain DMAP permits for separate properties. If the properties are 1 mile or less apart, separate DMAP permits for each property may be obtained if the properties are being managed under a commission-approved management plan. Okay. How does the program work? Okay, DMAP coupons are issued to an enrolled owner, lessee, on the basis of 1 per 5 cultivated land and 1 tag per 50 acres of forest land. Property owners distribute the coupons to licensed hunters. It says landowners may not charge or accept any contributions from a hunter for a DMAP coupon. Hunters redeem DMAP coupons for a DMAP antlerless deer permit, paying the Game Commission a set fee of DMAP permits. Each permit can be used to harvest 1 antlerless deer on a specific DMAP property. Unless otherwise restricted, the Game Commission landowners may issue up to 4 DMAP coupons to each PA licensed hunter. The owner of the DMAP land must supply each permitted hunter with a proven map of the property. The map must show the property's boundaries and enable the hunter to stay within the property when using the map. Okay, so let's dive into the plethora of problems with these programs. And I'm going to start off with the fact of the Game Commission is currently talking about maintaining ag tags and DMAP and expanding them. Problem number 1, the Game Commission is proposing overlapping ag tags into hunting season, which will now overlap an existing DMAP program. In my opinion, it's already monumentally confusing. In my opinion, what we should do is gobble up ag tags under the Deer Management Assistance Program. Deer Management Assistance Program should be the mothership for us to truly manage deer when you talk about a Deer Management Assistance Program. You have methodologies and tools during the summer, and you have methodologies and tools during the normal hunting season. Does everybody understand that? So basically, what I'm recommending and proposing here under these thoughts and ideas and conversations is we're not getting rid of the tools. We're clarifying, we're cleaning them up, we're cutting out red tape and bureaucracy. So instead of having 2 completely separate programs, you're going to have a Deer Management Assistance mothership, and then the idea would be to have what you can do in the summer, what you can do during normal hunting season. Now, the Game Commission right now currently is proposing to remove the 4 tag limit for the ag tags, but they're not proposing doing that for DMAP. I completely do not understand. I think this is a poor decision. I think it's a poor management decision. Why do I say this? Well, let's hypothetically say that based upon your management practice that you need to harvest 20 antlerless deer off of your property. So as of now, they are going to remove that limit of 4 per hunter for the summertime, for the ag tag portion. But they're not going to do it for DMAP. So hypothetically, let's say that you're a person that wants to try to address your management tools during the normal hunting seasons. Basically, you're limited to that your hunters can only use 4 tags. This is problematic, extremely problematic, especially when you lack the amount or availability of hunters or shooters. It just doesn't work. So I think that this is something, again, the removing the stipulation on the cap of tags per hunter needs reformed as a whole. The standardized tillage area, the 5 acres and the 50 acres, that absolutely needs to be uniform. Summer, during normal hunting seasons, it doesn't really matter. The whole concept is to identify the needs of a property owner, leaseholder to manage the deer. So making things uniform and simple is really the concept here. Prices, standardized pricing. This is not rocket science. Why we have different price breakdowns, I have no understanding. But simplifying that would be a great mechanism or a suggestion kind of for the future. And I want to reiterate, I'm sure some of the things I'm talking to you about are within Farm Bureau policy. Some of the things I'm recommending or suggesting are me looking at this and being a practical business person and looking at what's being proposed, looking at what's being done, having utilized these tools myself, giving you practical firsthand experience of how to fix things, whether it is or is not official policy of the Farm Bureau. So I do want to say that. This is Jason White speaking as a farmer and a business owner in managing, wildlife. Let's see here. I have in my notes the DMAP tags, ag tags, and doe tags. Currently, as I said before, all currently different prices. That needs to be rectified. Permit applications are currently paper, and that needs to be rectified. And when I say that, that is my last DMAP application. It was this big paper application. Another issue, DMAP, you must provide a map. A map. Uh, what what type of map? What kind of map? How then I have to mark my boundaries of the inside for somebody to come on my property? I don't really think so. If somebody is has a license to create such a stipulation like this that I have to then provide maps now to people, that to me is just ridiculous. If somebody's a law-abiding license holder, it's their option and it's their obligation whether they got to pay for an online app, a GIS program, if they got to go to I mean, if anything, the Game Commission, if they're getting DMAP tags for that property, they should be able to print off maps for that because that should be public information if they need to get a property. The landowner should not have to go and print off maps and have to guarantee that enable the hunter to stay within the property boundary. What does that even mean? I mean, you're legally putting people into jeopardy, basically saying the landowner is now responsible for the hunter to ultimately manage wildlife. The Game Commission is the wildlife management agency. So I think, you even look at something like this from a legal perspective, saying that, oh, well, we have to provide maps. Well, again, what kind of map? What quality of map? How do I have to define my property boundaries? How am I have to do that? Now, not only do I have to post my property to keep people out, now almost I got to post the inside to let people know the other property, but like to let people know where they can and cannot go. It seems to me like whoever's writing this, I don't really know. Again, not insulting anybody's intelligence, but it's not practical. Not practical at all. Again, recommending removing the 4-tag limit. I think that that's something that should be standardized across the board. I don't care if you have 1 or 2 shooters that are willing to help, manage wildlife. That absolutely should be something that should be considered and looked at. Any valid license-bearing hunter could use and report harvest. That just goes without saying. I don't think I should have to state the facts that, clearly if you're giving somebody the coupons and they register them in their name, if it's reported, it's a harvest. If it's a non-reported, it's obviously not a harvest. It's not really rocket science. So creating extra layers, again, for people to do extra work doesn't make any sense. This is certainly, I know because I helped craft it, there is a policy with the Farm Bureau regarding establishing QR codes on licenses so people could better and more quickly and efficiently report a harvest. So that would be something that would be extremely helpful with this process. Properly funding hunter sharing the harvest. Both of these programs, whether it's the ag tags or the DMAPs, and especially crop damage, which, again, I'm not really going to hit on too hard today, but especially from the ag tag perspective, there's a lot of conversations about, donating to the charitable food pantries. Problem is, when you get into that discussion, they're not adequately funded. So that being said, there needs to be better discussions in regards to Pennsylvania Department of Agriculture funding, Pennsylvania Game Commission funding. I'm going to expand here into a different arena that hasn't really been hit on, but Pennsylvania Department of Corrections and all the county jails. Now, why do I bring them up? Well, there's obviously they eat ground meat and food and whatnot. So that could be another funding mechanism when you talk about the charitable food system. Why not get some of the jails and prisons to kick in money? Obviously, they have to eat. So it just seems to me like a no-brainer that the Pennsylvania Department of Corrections and the county jail systems should be kicking in funding to help with the wildlife management and the butchering fees. Certainly, there's ideas about expanding butchering reporting. So right now, when you take your deer to a butcher today, number one, there's no reporting mechanism. So like they can't scan that tag and it automatically, like if you didn't report your deer kill yet, if they scan the tag, that will not report the kill. So that's another idea. Not only the ideas of QR codes on the tags for the hunter, but if, say, they forget, take it to the butcher should be able to scan the tag. If it's not reported yet, boom. They scan it. They'd be compensated fair market value. At least that's how I could perceive that as working. And then, I mean, I've talked about this at other times. You know, butchers also keep the deer heads for aging purposes via the Game Commission, which is all conservation. And they're not currently paid anything other than a hat and a calendar. So, problematic? I think so. If you think about it, so I circled back earlier, or I want to circle back to a comment I made earlier, and that was in regards to when it comes to the prices of the tags. I do not have the breakdown, which I'm going to get it, but say this past hunting season, let's just use 2024 as an example. What was the total number of red tag, ag tags purchased? Question mark. What was the total generation from regular antlerless doe tags? Question mark. And what was the total monies generated from DMAP? Why do I ask this question? Well, I ask this question financially because you're probably saying, well, Jason, where's the money going to come from to pay for paying these butchers or pay for these QR codes or pay for whatever it may be? So without diving into like the nitty gritty of red tags, doe tags, and DMAP, let's just use a regular doe license. Let's just use that for right now. So regular doe licenses this past hunting season, I'm going to pull it up right now in Google. PA doe license sales 2024. There were, let's see here, it was approximately 1.1 million doe licenses that were sold. And I apologize because I had this number sitting in front of me and then I just literally closed it by accident. Anywho, it was approximately 1.1 million licenses that were sold. If you do the math, in total, the interesting tidbit about this is that it was approximately $8 million generated strictly from the standardized doe license. Why is that important? So if you do the math for the standard doe license, not red tags, not DMAP, just kind of keep that on a shelf right now, that's $8 million. So my question is, and I raise this question, where's that money going? If we're talking about these other innovative solutions, QR codes, if we're talking about the need of more money for butchering of deer, for these programs, we're talking about the need to compensate butchers, actually something other than a hat. It seems like we're bringing in millions of dollars, at a minimum $8 million. What is the realistic, what is the realistic goals if you add it all up? What are we doing financially? What are we striving for? What are our goals? And it actually looks, I'm actually looking at it right here. Doe licenses were only 4A. 4A was the only location. There were 760 tags unsold. The rest of the state was totally sold out. And I got to pull this up. Doe license. So sorry. I apologize. Let's see here. Total number of PA. So we're going to Google this. Total number of PA doe license sales 2024. I love the internet. Yep, I thought it was. So in 2024-2025 hunting season, antlerless doe licenses, which again, this does not include The ag tag, and this does not include DMAP, is 1.186 million licenses. So if you take that number, so we're going to do the quick math here, 1186 million times $6.95. That is $8.242 million. $8,242,700 to be exact. Yeah, Houston, we have a problem. So the fact that we're paying butchers, like, this is strictly doe tags. This is strictly doe tags. I just want to clarify here. Like, I'm not talking about the monies generated from ag tags. I'm not talking about monies generated from DMAP. I'm not talking about normal hunting licenses. I'm not talking about stamps or anything else. Strictly doe tags. So if we're sitting here looking at this one stream of revenue for the Game Commission, so when we're sitting here talking about hunters sharing the harvest, when we're talking about the need of QR codes, when we're talking about better reporting systems, even with the butcher shops, when we're talking about paying the butchers a fair market value so we quit losing butchers, I raised the question, where is $8.2 million going? Now, clearly off the top, you're going to take, let's hypothetically say, for the sake of conversation, a small percentage is going to administration. My concern is it's probably, in the average everyday private sector, it's probably 15%. Government, they're probably skimming 50%. So even in a terrible scenario, let's say that $4 million is left over. What are you doing with the money? I don't understand. It's a rational question. From a financial perspective, like, what are we doing here? Why have all these programs? So when you start looking at this, it's about making money. But then you start looking at the legitimacy of these programs, functionality. How do you get your permit? When do you utilize it? In my opinion, it's honestly a little bit chaotic. And that's probably putting it nicely. It really needs to completely overhauled, opened up, kind of dissected, sat down and have these types of conversations right here. So you can really dissect budgetary numbers that need to be figured out. It's a lot. I mean, I was just recently at a town hall up in Armstrong County, and it was frustrating. I was extremely frustrated for everybody that was there because, everybody's pleading for the Game Commission to make changes and to strive for changes, and they want to see people, the general public want kids to be involved. They want to teach children about butchering and harvesting deer and the connection with wildlife and the ecosystem. And it's just, I don't know. Maybe we got this far behind the eight ball. And I respect and understand the fact that the idea of Rome wasn't built in a day. I really tried my best to give the Game Commission, all the respect and leeway as best I can. But, when you really look at this, just like this DMAP and Red Tag program, I mean, we have to have an honest conversation as citizens of the state. Is this the best way to do it? And I mean, from my perspective, the answer is no, this is not the best way. Even the reforms that are being recommended are a drop in the bucket. If we're going to manage wildlife based upon science, then we have to do that. We can't create, a culture of culture killing us, culture killing businesses, culture killing agriculture, culture killing its own sport. I raised the question, I was talking to some folks in the Game Commission. I said, well, why is it acceptable to bait deer during ag tags in Southeast PA, but it's not acceptable in any other part of the state? And, somebody might have thought that I was speaking another language at the time, but I think it's important to convey, like, people even within the agency weren't aware that you could even do this. And why I bring this up even on a bigger scale is, number one, it has nothing to do with CWD. That has been a cookie cutter generic response that's easily used to try to nuclear bomb any discussion about baiting in this state. But I'm not here to talk to you about baiting from a perspective of using it during normal hunting season. I'm not going to open up Pandora's box. But I will talk about it from, the ag tag period of time, your summer months when people aren't hunting. And if the goal is to manage deer, the question is, why are we allowed to manage deer in this methodology in southeastern Pennsylvania, but the rest of the state is not allowed? It raises a lot of questions. And then my next question: how is it that USDA can work in the region of Pittsburgh and utilize bait to manage deer with basically paid snipers culling massive amounts of deer? There's no regulation. There's no legislation that's passed. There's no policies to condone this. So, are we now managing in a gray area? I think number one, if we are, I don't understand how that's acceptable. Number two, if regulations need to be amended to cover those activities, then, well, okay, to my question, if it's good in Southeast PA, why is it not good in the rest of the state? But now we come to find out that, the management practices even within the city of Pittsburgh, this is what they're doing. Again, I want to reiterate the fact that, to my knowledge, I've read through the regulations. There's no regulation or law that justifies baiting in that region of the state. So why don't we amend the regulation to give farmers? Why is it that the cities are allowed to utilize baiting as a deer management tool, but farmers are not? And if disease is such a concern, like CWD, when you're utilizing methodologies that people within the game community, which I'm in the game community, but people within a game community allege that baiting directly causes disease, rah, rah, rah. It's an interesting argument, I must say. It kind of makes you want to step back from even having the discussion, but I'm not going to back down from the discussion because it needs to be had. If it's a tool for a landowner or leaseholder to manage wildlife during the summer months, why would you not do that? Why would you take away a tool for people to help maintain their livelihoods? But it's acceptable to utilize those methodologies in high traffic population densities, where if there was disease, where do you think disease is going to travel with, even with people, animals, pets, migratory birds? Your high density locations with populations of people are in the cities, and these are the methodologies that we're utilizing. So it raises questions for you all to think about. Again, I'm not advocating for baiting during normal hunting season. That's a conversation for another day. But I don't want to open Pandora's box. I do want to, though, discuss the need for the summer. If we're not gonna treat everybody equally and fairly across the state, well, number one, we have a gargantuan societal problem, and I could go down that rabbit hole in a lot of different arenas, including permitting with the DEP in this state. But I digress. I want to focus right here on this one particular issue of deer management, and how is it acceptable that we're managing deer in the high density population center of Philadelphia, in that neck of the woods, that zone, but we're not allowed to use the same methodologies in other parts of the state? To me, it's asinine. It's nearsighted. It's an opportunity. And I hope the one thing that comes out of today, I hope that you'll at least walk from this episode thinking, because can we do things better? And I would say to you, absolutely. We absolutely can. We need to inject more practical business thinking into government. These commissions are commissioned to manage wildlife. If they need to provide tools for landowners or leaseholders to better manage wildlife, then that's exactly what they need to do. I appreciate everybody's sentiment. I'm a sportsman. I love the outdoors. But our culture and pastimes, at times when it comes to managing wildlife or giving people, I'm sorry, I'm willing to sacrifice my personal beliefs or views so somebody doesn't lose their livelihood and have their property destroyed by wildlife. I can't even justifiably understand how anybody would condone wildlife destroying people's property. And again, we're willing to go through heaven and hell for city areas where there's deer eating in parks, and that's okay. But the way we're managing farms in our food system is completely different. So, just reflect on all of this when you think about inflation and high prices and all this other stuff. Just remember, wildlife has a major, major, major impact on your food system, your food prices. And if we as a society want to help tackle inflation, goods and services, commodities, when it comes around anything with agriculture, we got to do a better job with wildlife management. And if we cannot manage deer, well, I hate to tell anybody, we're in a lot of trouble. That being said, I'm going to wrap up today by, again, thanking the Mariana Outdoorsman Association. You can join the MOA today at MarianaOutdoors.com, MarianaOutdoors.com. Follow us on Facebook at Mariana Outdoorsman Association. You can go to the MOA Outdoor channel. We got tons of information, all of these episodes and shows. Again, as always, we're on Anchor Radio and Spotify if you want to listen to us. Always happy to get the word out about, obviously the things going on in agriculture and the great outdoors as a whole. Wild Acres Farm Fishery and Regulated Hunting Grounds. It is not too late in the season to book your upland bird hunt, spring turkey hunt, or if you're looking at fall, we'll have deer hunts and firing back up the upland bird hunts before you know it. Check us out, 10milesco.org, 724-579-0924. Again, that's Wild Acres Farm Fishery and Regulated Hunting Grounds, 724-579-0924. I'm Jason White. This is Great Outdoors, and I'll see you next week.